Hello and welcome to Dana's Carvery, a podcast about famous sandwiches made after Dana Carvey.
You know, you joke, but I bet there's at least 10.
I suppose, yeah, considering he's like an impersonator,
Mm.
like there's a lot you could do with that. Do you think he could impersonate a sandwich? Do you think his powers are that
Absolutely.
strong?
Absolutely. He was the master of disguise.
Well, he was a lactating Bill Clinton that time. And then he destroyed, which basically destroyed his own show, which I 100% respect. I love it's like, no, let's do something completely alienating and strange. So the leftover viewers of Home Improvement just really know this show's not for them. Jesus. This has ever felt like this? It wasn't such a bad job today.
I don't know, man. There's a lot of goo.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of goo. Like, especially that color of goo.
It was well done goo. It looked smelly.
Yeah. The title of the episode is Yuckles.
Yeah. And the thumbnail for it before going to the episode was just a gooey Bronson.
Yeah, I did write thumbnail is Bronson covered in goo. This does not bode well. Like, just his face, you know?
Yeah. And so we open to the little stinger and it's Bronson on leaning on a mushroom, and then Linda walks in.
Well, she crawls out of a hole under a tree, right. Which, like, all right, it's like a rainforest, but you know, you could just have her come through, like, out from behind a bit of like. There's a lot of ways you could do this entrance. Like, it's some fucking like Wonderland hole, and just out comes fucking Linda.
And then it's shown that there's a second mushroom and a second Bronson.
Yeah,
and you get that's a very good glimpse of what this episode's going to be. And Lordy, I'm uncomfortable. I don't know why.
Mushroom Bronson.
Yeah, Mushroom Bronson is like, we've already got one Mushroom Bronson. That's a real Bronson. I don't need another one.
Yeah, he is a fungus.
So this episode opens in a forest.
An actual forest.
Yeah, there's some nice location shots in this episode.
Yeah, they actually go out to a fucking rainforest. And those can't be easy to film in.
God, no.
That's just a mess of shit going on.
Yeah.
You know?
And Mr. Gribble is, once again, being the environmentalist he is trying to wipe out the forest to build a casino. And he's calling it the Forest Casino. And that's insane because it's not like, out in the desert in Las Vegas, there's the desert casino. No, it's just a casino.
It's also not near anything.
No.
Like, because he's saying like he's going to recreate the forest in plastic in the casino lobby. And then Bronson says, Linda says, what about the animals? And Matron goes, plastic animals.
That was a good bit.
And
I like that bit.
Yeah, plastic trees are great because you can see them. They're not growing out in the middle of nowhere. And it's like, you're building this place in the middle of nowhere, though. Yeah. Unless...
So you still got to go to the middle of nowhere to see the plastic trees.
All right, yeah. Look at Australia's great plastic forest.
Also, you live in a small rural town off the coast. There's shitloads of trees around.
I know.
Like, fucking, you've got so much empty space. We've seen it in episodes where the kids ride their bikes and shit. Yeah, there's just space everywhere.
Go Connor Farmer out of his field. You can have the fucking dairy casino. Come yank some teats.
So yeah, it sets up straight away what we're doing here. Yeah.
We have to stop Gribble from getting permission to build his casino.
So then we go to a little town sort of meeting.
Yeah, the usual, town hall kind of thing. So Nell's got a slideshow going about how the forest is important and
because it's the only place in the world where yuckles grow.
Yeah.
And I love that there's no explanation or want to explain what a yuckle is. She just shows her slides. Like, she doesn't go, the yuckle is like, she doesn't say anything information about it. She just goes, the yuckles are here. We can't get rid of it.
Yeah, someone does ask a question and she has a follow-up. They're named after some scientist who discovered them, but there's also this unbelievably rare form of fungus that grows here. It's just you could just say that. But she does just, and it's not one of those, roundabout things for fucking the sake of the audience. No. It's not like when characters just fucking describe what they're doing when they pull up at a place. Nobody does. It's literally, she could have done the exact thing that would have made more sense, and it would have been more helpful to the actual fucking scene, because she would have been explaining. It's like, all right, what are we looking at here? You know, because we still haven't really had like an explanation of what the fuck a yuckle is.
Mm.
You know, but it's named after some. I'm
Professor
assuming
Jorgen Yuckle.
Jorgen. Yeah, so I'm assuming there's got to be like Scandinavian.
And they
or
showed a
something.
picture of him and his brother.
Yeah, his
twin identical brother. And that's going to come in later.
He just disappeared mysteriously.
And they have this, I don't know who the lady is. She's some sort of commissioner or something.
Well, yeah, see, I was a bit confused at first because there's just some other lady in charge there. And I was kind of wondering what the fuck that deal's about. But then when you see her at the end of the fucking episode, she shows up again and she's in like...
Maybe she's the mayor.
Yeah, no, that... Because like she's in this like... Like Australia has this shit left over from like England times. You know, like the way like fucking lawyers and judges wear those dumb fuck wigs.
Yeah.
So like the Lord Mayor's outfit is like a fur and a championship belt wrapped around your neck. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like it's the silliest fucking thing. But like, yeah, I figured she was a counselor or something, but then later on, yeah, you see her dressed as that. So she's the Lord Mayor, basically. And I have not enough knowledge of the fucking particulars of, you know, the local government structure of Australia to know precisely how much power a Lord Mayor has.
In Port Naranda, probably absolute.
Yeah, I feel like it could be just one of those like times where like, you know, pre-internet and like no one wanting to go out there, you could just be like the dictator of like this shitty little town. And yeah, so she's like, you know, the debate riles up and like Gribble's saying jobs and, you know, people are saying, hey, this forest is like thousands of years old and you probably shouldn't knock it down for like, you know, basically what is a criminal enterprise.
Yeah.
You've been following the royal commissions in Australia.
And you know,
and then, so she says that like, you know, she establishes the stakes of the episode.
Yeah.
You need to prove the yuckle exists.
Otherwise, the proposal is approved.
Yeah.
And I think that's just a shot on the nose. Like, that's a bit harsh straight up. Yeah, let's bulldoze this fucking ancient forest just to build a casino. Gribble's bribing her. 100%.
It does feel like that here. Like, because that's that fucking thing of just like, yeah, it's like the way, you know, they'll log Tasmania and not even do anything interesting with the wood. Like, I could understand if you cut down this like giant, like, you know, hundreds of year old tree and then turned it into like a huge throne.
We
or
logged
something.
Tasmania to build a scale replica of Tasmania out of the logs.
Yeah, that'd be better. Most of it just gets turned into wood chips. It's just pulp. And it's like, the fuck's wrong with you shit?
So then we get do we get the cut back to the forest?
So people are leaving the meeting and Gribble like tells his like little, you know, shithead trio of kids, go into the forest, seek and destroy any possible trace of yuckles.
Yeah.
Nell comes out to kind of just call Gribble a cunt and then just falls over.
Oh yeah, that was right. Yeah.
Like she just kind of falls down. Like
there's a lot of people just falling over in this episode.
Well, I mean, like at least some of them were in a forest. Like Nell's just Nell's on platforms designed for human feet, you know? She just has an old lady ankle just goes, bye-bye, tink, and just pops out of her ass. So she falls down. You know, matron checks her medically, and then they're like, what qualifications does she have? And, you know...
She goes, I have 6 diplomas. And it's like, of what?
Yeah, because there are some fascinating diplomas that you can get out there. Like, I think to be like, you know, even to just be a bouncer, you have to get like a fucking, you know, diploma thing from like a TAFE. And I mean, think about that for a second.
Yeah.
Like, having done it, it is not a challenging curriculum.
She's pretty happy and passes that information to Harold saying that she's going to be out of commission. And Harold's face lights up because that's his competitor.
And so we got to the forest and like a fucking... it isn't a power-up mushroom. It's like, you remember the poison mushroom from like, you know, the one that wasn't... It was kind of warped and weird looking from Mario. Yeah, it was something like that, basically. Pops up
slightly like duller color in the original.
Not like full tilt. Like they've gone to some faint degree of effort to make it realistic, but also like I feel like as a safety thing, they're trying to make it not look like a mushroom that actually exists.
Yeah, because then kids would have just gone and
you don't want to go touch this when it comes to fungus, because like it's insane the fucking gamut of shit that mushrooms run. You know, because there's not like... I really don't think there's anything else that like, oh yeah, you eat this one and you'll just there are so many ones that are just lethal. And the
Mm.
funniest part is like, and I learned this watching about like the British foragers, like there's a whole thing of they go out into the countryside and shit. And, they go and they pick mushrooms and whatnot. And some of them are really nice. It's like, these are good mushrooms. And then there are some that look almost exactly like them and are fucking lethal. And it's like, you just can't, so you can't go, I'm going to get some of this funk without like having some, 12th generation mushroom fucking dude with you to go, oh yeah, no, don't eat those. Those are like the fucking make your head explode ones.
Yeah.
And like, then there are some that just make you trip balls. And then there are some that you can have on pizza. And that's an insane fucking run of things, like I can't think of anything else that has that kind of spectrum.
See, this is the chicken we use at KFC. That's the chicken that makes you hallucinate.
Yeah.
That's the chicken that just kills you.
Yeah, it's not like if you eat like ostrich, you just explode or something, Whereas like just mushrooms is just like, oh yeah, these are fucking insane.
So yeah, the yuckle pushes its way out of the leaves, and it freaks me out because it's like children laughing. Like these little sort of like, but it's not laughing, it's kind of like, a little giggle, and it's just, it makes me uncomfortable.
It's the voice of the gingerbread man. Like
essentially,
it's that one voice because they use that weird little voice for like the gingerbread man in a cartoon like I saw when I was a little kid, and then it's the same fucking voice in like whatever the shit that is, Shrek, which is crazy because it means that somehow just cross culturally there's just a gingerbread man voice, and then we've just kind of
I don't like to
accepted
think
that.
about that.
And so the thing pops up and goes, and then we cut to like them looking after Nell at home because her ankle has betrayed her. And then, they're coming up with they're establishing the plan. And it's like, all right, Pete and Linda got to go look for Yuckles in the forest because they take a picture of one. That's it. That's the problem solved. And like Nell will research like Jorgen Yuckle and try and find him. Maybe he's, it's a photo. It's not from like the 1800s. Maybe he's still around.
Maybe he's still alive.
Yeah. And then Bronson wants to help and they all tell him to eat shit because he's a turd.
That's Bronson in a nutshell. He's like, well, I'll stay here and have fun with Dad. And there is no fun with Dad.
Fun, no. And then we cut back to the development sign that the fucking Yuckle was looking at. And now there's 2 development signs.
And I was like, oh, I wonder what's happening here.
Yeah.
Put 2 and 2 together.
And yeah, then the weird thing is though, is like, it doesn't really come up because the episode just sort of does that ending thing again. But like, there's a sense that the Yuckles are all just sort of impressed by like what the other ones are doing to imitate shit.
Yeah.
Because they're all cheering.
Yeah, every time one forms something, they're like, ooh!
It's like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, look at that. And then, back at the house, Tony's just being sad for Faye.
He's just looking through old photos and like photos from episodes in the season, which was nice. But like, there's one with him with Faye and Bronson, and it's got like Faye's like left
It's mostly
eye.
Bronson and a fucking chicken, and yeah, like half, like not even like half. It's like just a bit of eye, yeah.
He's like, oh look, Faye's left eye's in that photo, and then like he posed over to you, and he's like, oh look, her whole face is in this one, and it's just like, Tony, shut up.
And then like one of the ghosts has like a fucking, one of those little lockets with like his ghost wife in it, and he's sad, and the other ghost goes, oh, shut up.
Yeah.
And so Pete and Linda leave to look for mushrooms, and Bronson whines. And we cut to the bullies heading into the forest.
And they say, who fluffed? Which is just...
I figured that had to please you because you've been on just fluff as like a term for fart.
It's just so funny. Like, who fluffed? It's got that uff to it.
Yeah.
It's like, who farted? Arted is a very hard sound.
Like I can understand why it's used, but it's just so rare to hear that it is just really kind of
That's
funny.
something that I, got said around me a lot when I was younger.
Yeah.
Because it's like, I don't know, fart is lewd, I guess.
Yeah, it would have been in that like category of like things that were swear words when you were 3.
Yeah. Oh no, I fluffed. So yeah, the bullies, it smells. Like, and there's only one sign now.
Well, it's a yellow streak.
And there's a big yellow streak of goo.
Of goo that stinks. And then, so one of them fucking touches
Rabbit just goes up and touches it. Straight up, just puts his hand in it. It's like, dude, what are you doing?
Yeah, at no point would I, and like, try to just, it's banana yellow. Like, we're not talking like a
Poke
kind
it
of
with
natural.
the fucking stick.
Yeah, that's what sticks are for. Like, that's why we have sticks, is like you can pick it up and go jab, jab, jab. And then if it turns out to be something that bites, it'll bite the stick. Or if it turns out to be something if it turns out to be one of the fucking, not even the murder mushroom, but just the fucking, oh yeah, I hope you're not busy for the next 4 hours mushrooms, you're not just getting like a fucking ooh surprise, like because that's especially if you're not prepared. If you are an unprepared 13-year-old, tripping balls for like 3 hours is going to be an event.
Oh God, yeah, you're not going to have a fun time. So the bullies decide that they're going to hide somewhere while the twist. Wait for the twists because the twists are going to lead them to the Yuckles.
Yeah, and to be fair, that's
a good
smart
plan.
thinking. Yeah,
and Gribbs throws down his carton of milk.
Yeah, he's got like a strawberry milk.
He's finished it. He throws it down, and of course we see a Yuckle pop up and be like, "Ha ha, that looks fun," and then imitates the carton.
And so what is it? Fucking Pete and Linda show up and they mention that the yellow streak stinks, and then they start talking about whether or not it's worse than Bronson's feet. And then, they walk past like the 2 milk containers and then you hear, and then it explodes.
It just explodes into goo. And it's like, okay. So, because at this point we haven't seen one explode. We've seen a sign and now we've seen goo.
Yeah, now we've seen goo. Now we have the clue. Is like the Yuckle copies will exist for a minute and then they'll just turn into some vile liquid spore.
So the kids start pulling out supplies and it goes by one. It will go Pete and Linda.
Yeah, we get the fucking
they'll pull out compass
scene,
compass, and then you get Bronson pulling out like food.
Yeah, so it's like the bullies have spear, Bronson chips, and then like Pete and Linda compass, and then bullies like axe, and one of them goes axe, and then Bronson's like chocolate, and then the other one's like map, and then so like Pete and Linda have like a compass, a map, a camera, like sensible shit.
Yeah.
Bronson's an idiot, and so he just has huge piles of like chocolate and snacks. And the bullies have a spear and an axe.
Well, I mean, he needs something to fuel that ADD,
Yeah, it's just,
keep his mind going strong.
Poor dear. Yeah. He can't not be operating at just like complete max clock constantly.
And
so Bronson follows Pete and Linda, and the bullies follow Bronson. And then Rabbit steps in a pile of the goo.
And they all kind of be like, you can bring up the rear, you stink.
Yeah.
Which is, fair enough.
Fair.
Also, the first 2 bullies avoided the puddle completely. It was literally off to the side. It wasn't even in the middle of the path.
We're not talking about like maybe a dog turd in the forest where it's like the same color as the ground and you can literally just not see it.
Bright toxic yellow.
It's fucking high vis gear, but on the ground. I mean, you wouldn't just step on a tradie taking a nap in the forest, which I assume is where they go when they're done working. Yeah. They just wander back into the forest, fall down in their high vis gear, and then
Pete falls down as they're climbing up a hill. And the best part about this fall is it's not like 1 foot slipped. His feet slide kind of like outwards. And he does this
banana split.
Yeah.
It's a suboptimal form of fucking.
God, yeah. And he rolls down the hill and Linda laughs and says, "Are you okay?"
To be fair, it was a good hill. Like, I've seen some really, really bad fake falls because you don't want to just chuck a kid down a hill. But this was like, I feel like you could like, peer pressure.
Not here at Chuck a Kid Production.
Yeah. Just down you go, Pete. Like, because like there's a moment in like the fucking anniversary special, The 5 Doctors, where like Sarah Jane Smith falls down a hill. And I want to tell you that when I say falls down a hill, that's an outright lie. It's the most demented fucking thing you've ever seen. Like, they told this woman, you have to like trip and fall, and she just did not want to trip. Like,
yeah,
it's like imagine someone just laying down and going, "Ooh," and just rolling down it. Like, and it's not even a steep fucking. Like, it's absolutely like Nell's fall was more believable than this.
Oh man,
Pete going down this hill. This was a steep hill.
Yeah.
If you slip, you're going down to the bottom. So fair fucking play. The kid fell down a hill and it looked meaningful. And for some reason, just bad things happen to Pete. But like,
that's the curse of Pete. Bronson's not around to take the karma.
That's the fucking.
That's why you always want to keep him around.
Yeah, that's the fucking the horrible choice of like the curse of Bronson. It's like he's around, but he's also like the universe's toilet. So just bad things that are going to happen will happen to him. But so he rips like the bag that he's got all the stuff in rips, and you can see a tear, and like the camera that they've got to take the Polaroid of the fucking Yuckle is sort of just at the edge,
hanging precariously.
Yeah, and I thought something would come of this. And
same.
Spoiler alert.
It doesn't. Yeah. No. Now, I also thought, what sort of shitty bag is that you've fallen down a fucking hill and it's ripped
and
open
it's
like
already
that.
ripped
Because,
open,
like,
yeah.
I understand if it, like, weakened it a little bit, you know, like a tiny threads come loose and that eventually will pull
Yeah, but
to make a hole.
it's a fairly sized
Because
hole.
it's
and
not
also,
it's not like it's a nylon bag. It's like a camp, more of like a
yeah,
sort
it's a
of
camp bag, like a canvasy.
woven.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like another thing too is like if I fall down a hill, I'm checking my shit
Yeah,
because I'm gonna assume like
100%.
something's fucking happened. So I'm like, okay, do I have all my stuff? Guess not with an old fucking Petey.
And now we get some really nice location shots because we see as we get them as they're hiking through the forest, and
For the
there's a
greater,
nice
yeah.
waterfall.
Well, for the greater theme of like, aren't forests good? This actually does a
Yeah.
good job of going, yeah, forests.
Yeah.
Like, look at that. Fucking, you know.
So they get to the top of the waterfall, and there's a big log
Yeah.
going across it. And this was one of the weirdest parts of the episode to me. Every time they cross it, like Linda starts crossing the log, and she looks down, and there's people in the background going, whoa, and it's like,
yeah,
what
it's
the
sort of blended into the fucking
music.
Yeah, the music, but it's just
It's just such a bizarre choice because, like, I understand it like creates that sense of like, oh, vertigo and shit, but also
you can do that with the film, the technique that you're using.
Yeah.
because they do that. They also twist it.
Yeah.
You get your fucking, focus pulls and Dutch tilts and shit, and then just like
you could literally, you don't need someone to go, oh, you can just have the music slightly pitching.
Yeah, that would be better. I know. The weird incessant need for like the music to almost intrude on the moment is just something that's probably bothered me more than any of the other little things.
It was
about this
also,
series.
I noticed in the starting in the title theme, it said gentle pop, but no, it was jaunty Caribbean.
It was not. It was not.
It was
Not
not pop.
gentle. Yeah, it wasn't gentle either. Like, can you really have gentle pop? I feel like pop's always got to be a little more up.
No, well, that's the whole point. It's pop.
Yeah,
You know,
like there's not a gentle pop. Like a
No.
pop is by its very fucking nature, a fucking violent event.
Yeah. So Pete
Well,
is
Linda, like, because the idea is it's at the top of a waterfall,
Yeah.
and it's meant to be high and scary, and so Linda like just like stares straight ahead and fucking
she clears it
Japanese
easy
fighting spirit her ways across, and then so now she's like making fun of Pete.
because Pete's a bit more scared,
Yeah,
and he's just looking down nearly the whole time, and
just not
not a good idea.
not what you want to do.
And Linda's like, "Don't look down," and then of course Pete falls again.
Yeah.
right on the nuts,
Right, yeah, just like just fucking banana splits
which
the log.
sucks
Yeah.
because that log is sturdy,
Also, it's like it's thick, so it's
a
not
lot
like,
of surface area.
Yeah, and the thing about the lot of surface area is, like a regular pole, like you might have on a fucking, like a rail you might see a skater on or something.
Mm.
The thing about the width and the the general size of those is they can hit thigh, they can come up beside the testicles and not smush them. This thing is just smush and ball. Like, there's no space. There's nowhere the balls can go.
That is just literally a cutting board, and Pete's lowered his balls onto that cutting board, and they've spread perfectly across.
Solid drop too.
Yeah. So Pete ends up hurting himself, but he gets up and he walks over, and he's kind of a little bit out of breath from hitting his nuts, and he goes, "Oh, piece of cake!" And then the compass falls out of his bag.
Well, he also
the hole.
when he nutted himself, he screamed, and it like went to Bronson.
Oh,
and went to
yeah,
the
yeah.
boys, and they were like, "What the fuck's that?"
Is that a yuckle?
Yes, that's right. So rabbit ass if it's a yuckle.
Yes, screaming boys are yuckles. So the compass falls out of the bag, which is preposterous because the camera was literally filling that big slot.
Yeah,
So I don't know how the camera's managed to juggle its way to the top of the bag, but the compass falls out.
yeah.
Bronson comes along and climbs over the log, and he sees the two compasses. Picks one up,
And then you hear, and then
all over him, and it is disgusting looking. It is jizz. It is just crusty. It is just
it's a little bit like you remember the Nickelodeon gack.
yeah.
It's like that, but thinner and stickier. So it's not like the
And
gack in that it
chunkier.
was a fucking form, but like with viscous. It's very viscous.
Yeah.
But it's how like gack was like a coherent glob of something, whereas this is more liquid. Certainly, it's like it's not. You can pour it, but it is very sticky and gross. I mean, I wouldn't want it on me.
No.
Or like if you get it in your fucking hair, you'd be dealing with that for fucking.
Because like
ages.
considering it smells as well.
Yeah.
Because that So then there's the bully's turn to climb across, and we don't see the first two. We do see in the credit scene we do see Gribbs climbing over the log.
Yeah.
But Gribbs and Tiger have already gone across.
Yeah, and then rabbits just
rabbits
clinging to the log.
clinging to the log. And this part was weird to me because they had some bad CG here with when they panned over his shoulder looking down. You could quite easily see the visible CG around it.
Mm.
Whereas compared to with Linda and Pete, you didn't. It wasn't as
Yeah.
noticeable. I
think
don't know what
it's-
that's about.
I think it's because like, well, I think it's they're using like, I don't know if they'd have been even using a computer exactly at that stage, but there definitely was like there was a basically I think the original shot didn't have the log in it, so they're having to superimpose the log into this shot.
Yeah.
And like when the shot's still, you don't really see too much. When the shot twists and turns and zooms, that's when you start seeing the like edge of the log really clearly not like, because they're zooming in and it's like, all right, you don't have a higher definition picture of this log. It's just looking shitty now.
Yeah.
And then we get to like another one of those points where it's just like, there's just a lot of stuff in this that just doesn't do anything or go anywhere.
Yeah.
Like the torn backpack, you think, oh no, they're going to lose the camera and won't be able to take a photo, and that just nothing happens.
Nothing. No.
And then you drop the compass. It's like, oh, they won't be able to get back maybe because they'll have the photos and they won't be able to make a way back, and there's nothing.
No.
And then Pete just sits down and he's like, just goes on about how he's really hungry.
He wants a ham sandwich. He goes, couldn't you really go for a nice ham, mayo, lettuce? And it's like cheese sandwich right now. And Linda's like, no.
Yeah, she's just, I'm hungry. I'm not. All right. Glad we had that. And then they get up and leave, and like the little, one of those metal camp mugs drops out of fucking Pete's backpack, and then like it lands on the ground. But I think they were like so intent that the mug be in a certain position that like it's just it isn't. It's like a bad special effect of the mug hitting the ground.
It's fucking awful because it like floats for a half a sec, like it just.
Yeah, it's like a clip art bit of mug that they just sort of like clicked and dragged to make it look like it hit the ground.
Yeah.
Which is insane when you were talking about filming a mug hit the ground. Like I could get my phone out now and film exactly that out in the fucking front yard and produce a better shot that you could actually edit into this episode.
You literally have to drop a cup like 10 times and then just get the best take.
Also, who fucking cares if it's upside? It doesn't matter to anything that occurs.
No, because
all that happens is a Yuckle impersonates it.
Because the next shot is Bronson comes and he sees the cup turn, the Yuckle turn into the cup.
Yeah, he actually sees the process,
and he's like, oh,
and then he chucks a rock at the fucking
and
Yuckle
it explodes.
cup. Yeah. So it's like it didn't have to be like
no
up one. It was just you could.
It's not like he was drinking out of it and needed it upwards or something. So the twists. They go off through this sort of shrubbery while Bronson's investigating this, and they find clearing with actual giant Yuckles.
Yeah, Pete also drops a thermos. Surprise! This doesn't do anything.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, no, you forgot about it because we see it. The show takes efforts to like zoom and go, oh, look out, the thermos has dropped. And it's like, okay, where's this going? Literally
the only reason it was there was so Bronson could pick it up and go, and then he puts it back down. He walks through.
I mean, like...
There's only one way to go here anyway.
Yeah, I feel like the idea is maybe that this was how Bronson was following him, but Bronson's so close behind that they never really emphasize. Like, there's never a point where Bronson's like, how will I follow them? Because they're all just following each other easily.
Yeah.
Like, Bronson's not dropping anything, and the bullies are following him. Like, there's no suggestion that finding Pete and Linda is going to be a challenge that the fucking trailer shit is overcoming.
Yeah.
The first thing they do is demonstrate that they might lose the camera.
Yeah.
And then other shit just starts coming out, and it's like, all right, this is Bronson learning how the fucking Yuckles work. And then there's just, here's a fucking thing.
So Pete takes off his backpack, and they get the camera out to take some photos. He throws his backpack onto the ground. And then I love how when Bronson comes in, Pete goes, hey, toilet face.
I do love too, like when they find, like, because they're talking about the Yuckles as being like impossible to find, and they come across a clearing of like me-sized mushrooms.
Oh, they're giant.
Yeah.
And they were like, we've searched this forest. Like, no, you haven't. Don't fucking lie.
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel
you
like
have helicopters, cunts?
Yeah. You probably could have seen these things from the fucking, up in a helicopter too. You'd be like, oh, fucking look at that. That's a huge fucking mushroom.
Yeah.
It's the size of an adult
That's what
man.
we said during the episode.
Yeah.
And you, as you said, there should have been something to go, oh, the Yuckles only appear every 50 years or something. Yeah. Because then that would make sense why they couldn't find them.
Yeah, that would just...
yes, toilet face. I love it. Because he's just covered in shit.
Yeah, and then, fucking Pete, Bronson says the backpack is going to explode. And like, because Linda and Pete are both holding backpacks. I go, which one? Then we hear... And if one of them obviously goes off in Pete's face.
Screaming.
Yeah.
He's like, yuck! And he does get gooed hard.
Yeah, and it like the general effect is a little bit like, fucking Venkman in Ghostbusters, but with this added kind of custody quality from like the pus scene from Brain Dead,
Yeah.
which still makes me queasy to think about.
Pus is just
It's
next
gross,
level
yeah.
because like it smells as well.
And so then the bullies arrive.
And chaos.
Yeah,
and
and then they're
shoes.
like, get those photos. And so then, Bronson, Linda, and Pete all split up. And, Linda's got the camera, so the bullies go after her, but like Linda
She just hides behind a tree.
Yeah, she just hides behind a tree. Like,
They just go straight past.
Yeah.
Pete fucking slowly inches towards the bush, and then he opens the bush, and Bronson's in the bush just hiding.
There's a Bronson in that bush.
And he tells
a
Bronson,
shitty board game.
that you've got to go to the meeting, tell them about the Yuckles. He's like, oh, but they won't believe me. He's like, you're the only one who can do it. He's like, oh, aren't you glad I came now? And it's like, no, Bronson, we're never glad you came.
I mean, yeah, because really, like, okay, you can maybe say that, like, Pete's hanging around to, like, make sure Linda's okay, but also Pete could have just done it,
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't vital. There were ways out of this. And so, like, Linda has doubled back on the bullies and comes back into the clearing and hides behind a mushroom. And, then we're at the town hall meeting, and Nell mentions that Yorbit Yuckle, what was it, Yorbit or
Jorgen.
Jorgen. Yuckle died 27 years ago.
And
so it's all on the
Tony
kids.
asks, what about, the brother?
Yeah.
And he said, oh, well, he didn't have a brother. He was born an only child. And it's like,
We cut to probably one of my favorite bits of the episode where just like, Bronson legging it, gets on his bike, starts like racing back to town, rides past his own bike, then goes, oh no. And then you just hear, and then the goo explode. I love that for Bronson, like just the look on his face as he's going past and sees his own bike. He's like, ah. But that's interesting that the fucking Yuggles can, their capacity for mimicry. Because there's a mechanical component to a bicycle. There's a chain.
Because he got on it and he started riding it, so it's obviously functional.
Yeah. Whereas like the T1000 could only, it couldn't form complex like moving parts. Which means that the mushroom is better than the T1000, which is kind of nuts.
I wouldn't say better. I'd say
I suppose, yeah,
more competent in certain areas because it can't hold that shape.
Can't hold that shape, yeah. Although if you could tackle that, then you could just have mushroom bikes for everyone.
Would be pretty cool. Then we cut back to the bullies who have found Linda in quotations, who's just standing in the middle of the clearing, just looking ahead with the photos in her hand. And they're like, watch out, she knows judo. And
I like that coming back.
That's good because that's part of her character, and we haven't really heard anything about that since the initial.
Yeah. So it's like last season, basically. So like they approach her cautiously and then just go, all right, pin her to the ground. We'll get the photos off her. And they pin her to the ground. And then she just sort of smiles a little bit and you hear, and she explodes. And the great part about this is the bullies are 100% certain they've killed Linda.
Yeah. Oh, we killed her. Well, I said, don't touch her. You touched her too. It's just...
Like,
I didn't mean to kill you, Linda.
One of them's got a handful of Linda goo and is crying. Like, they're really they're traumatized. They believe Linda's dead and they're the ones responsible. And so, now there's the Lord Mayor is in full regalia and is, insisting she needs proof. Bronson rushes in covered in like goo. And then they're like, all right, well, do you have any photos?
No, but Linda's coming any minute now. She'll be here.
And then Tony tries to motivate the audience.
Fucking Tony, stop. Yeah. So he's trying to talk about how beautiful the forest is, but he keeps talking about Faye while he's looking directly at Faye. And Faye's liking this for some reason. Because I guess she after she broke up with Tony, she's been hanging around Snapper. And I guess that's not even a good replacement.
Not a step up, apparently.
No.
I mean, just like, because it's one of those things where it's like, if this was what it took to fix this, you should probably just have a conversation.
Yeah, but Tony, that's Tony. I mean, that's why he sculpts. He's not into conversation.
Yeah, he's probably he can only communicate through his like handmade Nickelodeon backgrounds.
Yeah, he'll sculpt a handmade statue that's a one bum cheek and a left eye, and be like, Faye, this is what it means.
Yeah.
So the bullies come rushing in, and they're
with bags of Linda,
and they are just so upset because again, they still think they've killed this girl. And they're like, Mr. Twist, we're so sorry. We didn't mean to. This is Linda. And then Tony kind of looks at the bag and just goes, Linda?
Yeah.
And
Gribble's trying to
Matron's
consoling.
like, you should say something calming, kind of soothing to him. And she's like, well, the boys didn't mean to do it. I don't really know what else to say, Toadie. And it's like, that's not soothing.
I mean, I'd probably say, well, that's probably not Linda. Like, even if I wasn't aware of like the fucking copy mushrooms, I'd probably be, I don't know what even 3 like 12-year-old boys could do to another human being to turn them into several bags of liquid.
You'd be like, hey boys, can you maybe elaborate?
Yeah, like,
Explain?
what do you mean this is Linda and you're sorry? Like, I'm confused. I just like a little bit more.
And then Linda, of course, comes in completely fine.
Yeah, because it turns out she wasn't goo.
And she has the photos, and she's like, I've got proof right here. And Mr. Gribble's like, show me.
Yeah,
so he snatches the photo, and
and
the
that
photos,
particular photo turns out to be a mushroom.
And explodes all over Matron and Gribble. And it's a great shot of Mark Mitchell. Just he has some great facial expressions in this
really
moment.
Does, yeah. I do love how like just so many of these episodes are just like, all right, and then Gribble's covered in some kind of shit.
And then it ends.
Yeah. Like it really it is like it is one of those things where it's just like you just need like an extra like 30 seconds of like establishing maybe, okay, Nell looks better and this is improving her chances for the election.
Yeah. The Lord Mayor bangs her gavel and says, we're not approving it.
Yeah, okay, we're not approving, this development because, we're going to have to get like the fucking, heritage, council and stuff in to like check this area and stuff. Like give slightly, just again, like it really would be 30 seconds.
Yeah.
To just give these episodes a bit more wrap up. Because every time it's just like, Gribble's covered in shit, that means all the problems are solved. Like there's just some weird porting around a bylaw that's like, if like Gribble's just got like, if Gribble gets smeared in some kind of liquid, that's meeting over, Because
there's no closure because the Yuckles aren't gone. They're still in the forest. The forest would be boarded off now and people can't go into it because till they find this rare species.
Yeah, or just that shit. Like, okay, yeah, I'm getting the heritage listing, etc. And, there's no more thing. And like, again, if you had this, all these episodes have this, where if you just had like those extra few seconds, you'd be able to do things like maybe have, Faye go, that was a really good speech, Tony. And then like that would contribute to the next.
Because we get no bridging to Faye and Tony's next relationship part. And that, I guarantee you, it's going to be a bit better somehow in the next episode, even though we see no resolution.
Like, again, we haven't been seeing like Nell campaigning in any sense.
Ooh, she just shows up to fucking oppose Gribble. And it's like, that's not what senators do.
Like, fair enough, like you're the anti-Gribble, but like, again, if you just had like, you just, have it look like the townspeople are like, oh, look, Nell was like not like, a lying maniac trying to turn us into a plastic casino. And then you'd be like, yeah, this is contributing to the softer serialized elements that you have going on.
It's like, well, Nell, what are your policies? Run all the blacks out of town. Oh shit. Maybe we shouldn't be listening to the crazy old white lady.
We didn't think about this. You have other platforms that make me uncomfortable. All right, Amber. I gotta, look, I know you're on estrogen, but you don't have to be a bitch. Have you ever felt like this? Have you ever taken mushrooms? Have you ever been in a forest? Worst time you nutted yourself.
Oh.
So that's, have you ever taken mushrooms? Have you ever been in a forest?
I have not taken hallucinogenic mushrooms or any psycho mushrooms. I've only had like cooking mushrooms.
All right. Have you had an interesting cooking mushroom or just like the white caps from like Coles?
No, I always hated mushrooms. I like them in a combination of things, like if they're adding to something.
Yeah.
But if it's like the main part of something, fuck no.
I'm okay. I'm okay with them prepared. But I remember seeing like a fucking, like I think it was one of my uncles just eat one once.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's just like.
I tried that when I was young. Like when Mum's cooking, I'm like, can I eat this? She's like, sure.
Yeah, it's
and
then
food, it's like, ugh.
Yeah, and it's just like, ugh. It's like powdery and not. Sometimes is and not what you'd think. And I mean, there are some you can probably comfortably eat, like maybe dried or something.
I have always wanted to go mushroom picking for like psychiatric mushrooms.
Yeah, that's an interesting task. I mean, I've got like, so the first time I did that, I was young. We're in a paddock in fucking It's not Eagleby. What's that suburb starts with E that's just a bit north of fucking...
Everton Hills, Everton Park.
I think, yeah, Everton Park.
Mm.
So there's like this weird... It's one of those areas in Brisbane where there's like a bunch of like stores and shit and like one of those big wide malls now. And then there's just like, for some reason, a small paddock with a cow behind it.
Mm.
And you're just like, why is that there? You know? Like, whose cow is that?
Yeah.
So well,
The cow owns the land.
Yeah, we were trying to get mushrooms, and so we're like, well, there's a cow, and the one thing we knew was like that, like fucking magic mushrooms would grow like in cow shit. So we're like, all right, we'll go fucking just look around this paddock. And so we go there like real fucking early in the morning, and you know, just walking around a paddock looking down and hoping to find fucking, you know, psychoactive drugs. And like, you kind of, I was pretty baked because it was like, well, you know, I'm not going to do this like sober.
Mm.
And then, you know, you're just looking, there's a cow and a calf. And it's like, oh, that's kind of cool. Look, there's a cow and a calf. And then so I approached the cow and the calf just wanting to like, I don't know, my brain was going, you can just rub a cow. Like, it's
That's
a cow.
Bad idea.
Yeah. And like, so I approached the cow and like the calf was like, just kind of like took a few steps toward me. And then it sort of started taking a few more steps and it was like, And so I just took a few steps back and then it started trotting and I was like, uh-oh. And then had to like, fortunately this was back when I was like fucking, you know, 60 kilos and could sprint. And man, like fucking hoon. Cause now the cow is like, oh, I'm chasing this guy out of the paddock. Like, cause that's just it. Once someone's running and someone's chasing, that's the established relationship until something happens. And the fact of the matter is,
especially since it's an animal.
Well, yeah, and it's also like fucking 500 kilos of cow versus like 60 kilos of stoned dude.
Just gonna sit on you.
Yeah, and that's what they do. They'll just fucking go, nah. They'll just nuzzle me into the ground and like my little body won't be able to take that. And the fucking like barbed wire fence that we had such a fucking issue getting like through when we were going in, cleared that cunt in a jump. So it's just like, you know, there wasn't a question in the head of like, how do I get through this? But it was just, you have to get over the fence. There is like a large animal chasing you and you don't know where this is going to end. So get over the fucking fence. The successful time we went mushroom picking was at like my fucking second cousin's property that he had, which was this fucking, I don't even know why he bought it. I think just for the sake of it. It was this weird fucking property. It was probably for the mushrooms actually. But it was this weird fucking like, because it was just like a triangle of shit land with like lumps and a creek. Dead onto like those big ass power lines, you know, the fucker, like the big, yeah. So he had like a trailer just there in a fucking built up bit of fucking a foresty paddocky thing. And, you know, you'd stay there overnight and then the next day you'd go walking around looking for mushrooms. And like, to be fair, you'd find shitloads. Like that was when you could just like find fucking lots. But he was the one that gave me the fucking mushrooms that I had that time. I took way too fucking many.
Right.
Because I didn't, you know, I was like 16 and I didn't know what the dosage was.
No.
I was just like, all right, you just take mushroom. Like, so I got like this fist-sized foil ball and it just, you know, I don't know, like fucking 20 something like in there, give or take, you know.
That's a lot of mushrooms.
Well, they're not very big, you know, and they taste fucking awful. Like that's the thing about Matt, like, so the psilocybin mushrooms you get in Brisbane are like blue, they you know, fairly like a gray kind of body that's blue if you break them anywhere, like fucking Powerade blue, like it's wild.
That's nutty.
Yeah, and the tops are gold. So like nothing, it really is one of those situations where this thing screams, I will get you high.
Yeah.
Like, cause you look at any other fucking, there are some fucking weird looking mushrooms, don't get me wrong, but there's also a lot that's just like, oh yeah, look at that lump. And it's just like a thing in the ground. You're like, who gives a shit? This thing is blue and gold and it's just like, try me. And the good thing about like mushrooms compared to like acid is if you take a fuckload of acid, you could be tripping balls for like days. And like, fuck that.
Yeah, no.
I keep hearing about that and people who've done that. It's just like, I don't know. Like, fuck no.
You want to know when it ends.
Oh, shit, yeah.
You do not want to just be like, well, I might be high for 2 days.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I might be high for 2 days. You can do that. That's a thing. I would like, after, like, be like, I'm going to the hospital. So it's like, hey, I took way too much acid. If you could just zonk me out for like a bit, like that'd just be great. Because I am tired of this.
Like the last time I took acid, like I mostly microdose it, but the last time I decided, I just took 3 tabs.
Goodness gracious.
And that was fun, but also scary. And like, but the thing is, I knew that would end after like a fucking most of the day.
Yeah.
You know, I woke up the next day completely fine. If I woke up the next day going,
Still, yeah. I was like, oh, God,
that would not
like
be a
forever.
fun time. Yeah, because you're just like, am I going to be like this forever?
Yeah, do I have to relearn how to live like this? Because like mushrooms will get more intense, but they have like a 4-hour cap. Like you're coming down at like the fucking 3.5 hour mark. So you could, if you take a lot, like it's a very, it's a steep angle on this fucking graph. Like you're going to be fucking up there, but like it'll, after you're not up there for long. And, because again, like I'd smoked weed, but it's like, I don't have any fucking, I was just like, all right, I guess this is the, and so I just ate all of them because I'm an idiot. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
Like, because there's the up part where it's fun and you get the euphoria and you're giggling and things are funny and stuff's kind of like the room's breathing and you're like, oh yeah, this is what I've heard about. This is fun.
Yeah.
And then it keeps going. You're like, uh-oh, I wasn't prepared for this step of the fucking process.
No.
Is this going to end?
That's why I like taking drugs in 2022 is just so much better because there are so many more things you can occupy yourself with,
Oh yeah.
You've got the internet, you've got streaming services, you've got video games. So just so much more that you can focus your energy on.
Look, that was the other problem was it was a grey Sunday afternoon at my dad's house and he was like just asleep because he'd been drinking all Saturday night. And so I'm just alone in a room with nothing on TV but like, and again, that was fucking 16. So this is like 1999.
Yeah.
There's like two kinds of Aussie rules on and a fishing show. And my brain is exploding and I'm like, I need something to happen. Otherwise I'm just, I don't know if I'm going to come back. Like, what if I see the whole rest of the universe? And I was like, oh, toodles. And then it's just like, then I'm thinking, well, fuck, am I going to die? Like, is this like, oh yeah, why are you in a coma? I'll be like one of those people you hear about through like, fucking the grapevine of like lies where it's just like, oh yeah, he took mushrooms and now he's, in a coma. I'm like, oh, shit, is that going to happen to me? I don't know. I can't remember. I'm too high. And so like I tried, my genius idea was I had $50 and I don't even know how I got that much money. But I'm like, I have enough money to go to the video store and I'll rent like some fucking videos and then I'll have movies to watch. And that's fun. You can take fucking drugs and watch movies. And so, I mean, like, act of criminal negligence, my father letting me leave the house in that state, but okay. And then I walked outside and was like, and bear in mind, like the nearest video store was like literally like fucking kilometers away. Like it was an age's walk. It was like 2 suburbs in another direction.
Jesus.
And I would have gotten lost.
You were so fucking high.
Yeah. Well, I got lost coming home from that video store once, not high. Because like I didn't have a phone with a map in it. I just came down to this one area where I thought I could get through to the like where I knew I was going. And then there's just a bunch of houses and like a forest. I was like, oh shit, where am I?
Dude, that's wild. Like that's actually triggered some memories of like riding bikes as kids and just trying to go somewhere. And as you say, just going, wait, there's no way through here.
Yeah.
Where the fuck are we?
Yeah. It's like, oh fuck, I don't know how to get home. So like I walked outside and I looked up and it's like your brain has all these things. And I feel like those really highly autistic people don't have these things, they just see the universe and there's no filter. The brain doesn't like just go, you don't need to see like 80% of this because it's not beneficial to like the fucking, tiny screaming operating system that you've got steering this fucking meat puzzle around. And like that's gone. And so I just look up and it's like, my brain goes, man, those are like, that light is like already dead because it's from like 1,000, a million light years ago. And, like they talk about like the unfathomable fucking elder gods and shit. Like that's, you see the universe and you fucking understand and you understand your place in it. And then it's just like, oh, I have to go back inside. I can't look at this. And then it only got worse from there. Second time I had them was a lot of fun because it was with a bunch of fucking friends in a small room and like it's like, oh, this lasts 3 hours.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about where it goes because I know where it ends. Like it's like, oh yeah, fucking take me around the block. That was fucking fun. Because like halfway fucking through a friend of mine just is looking at me and goes, uh-oh. And I'm like, what? Because I'm fucking high as shit. And he goes, Gabe's got the Gribbles. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then him and like my 2 other friends just start tickling me. And then that would just happen over the course of the night. Is like we just look at someone and just start tickling them.
It's fucking bizarre.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Granted, one of my friends thought about cutting his testicles off in a shower, but he didn't.
Jesus. So. Okay, that person should not be on psychoactives.
I feel, like it's, look, there are personality elements that go into these things. I mean, look, just, consult your doctor about this is probably my fucking advice. Have you ever been in a forest?
Yeah.
What kind of forests have you been in? Because Australia has a
Well,
variety of forests.
we went up that mountain not too long ago. That's a forest.
Oh yeah, I suppose technically that is a forest.
Yeah, forest on the
I
side of the
just
mountain.
feel like if there's a shop close by, it doesn't count. But I suppose yeah.
I know that like when I was young, we used to drive up mountains and shit all the time, like Mount Tamborine and shit. You know,
Yeah.
where you can just kind of stop and then just climb down.
Yeah,
And there's like creeks and shit. Those sorts of forests.
yeah,
a
they have
lot.
because Brisbane's got a lot of forest walks where it's like it's a established thing. There's like railings and signs and stuff and a path that's an actual path, not just traipsing around confused. Those are fun, yeah, because there's like, was it Mount Tamborine? Mount Glorious is another one.
Boondall Wetlands.
I don't think I've been to the Boondall Wetlands.
Boondall Wetlands is cool. Like there's like a boardwalk, then it goes through like forests and shit.
All right. What kind of forests? Like, is it like a mangrovey kind of thing, like wetlands?
It's like a mix. So there is like wetlands, but then it is more sort of like inland sort of forest as well.
Because like Mount, like, because Brisbane's been like the fucking tropically sort of area. Like a lot of the forests you're finding in Queensland are like rainforests.
Yeah, yeah.
And there are some nuts shit in those forests. Because like there are these things called strangler figs, which are like this fucking fig tree, right? But like the seeds get eaten by birds. Birds shit them out, and then the seeds will stick into like a bit of tree that exists. And then they'll just grow down the sides of the tree, get to the soil that they need, and then just literally strangle and kill the original tree.
Yeah.
And so then you're left with this fucking insane hollow tree tubes just all around these fucking forests. And they're kind of nuts. Because like the roots don't just grow uniformly. So it's like, this insane structure that just like looks like it's warped and shouldn't be there because there's just holes in it and shit. There's all these organic fucking spots.
I can't remember where it is, but I remember year 6 camp was in a forest. And I remember it was down south. I don't know if it was completely to New South Wales, but it was down south. And it was one of those places you kind of stay in sort of like the mountain forest area that has like wood cabins. And then they have like the wires where you walk through the canopies and shit like that. Archery and all that sort of stuff. I don't remember where that was, but I do remember that being a thing. And fuck that, because like growing up as a kid, I did not enjoy nature and group activities. Combine those and I'm not happy.
Hey, guess what? Nature and group activity. Group activities in nature. I know what you mean. Like, I don't like, because I do enjoy like, what we might call hiking. Like, I do like going on these walks because it's like you look around and
like if it's like 3 or 5 of us, like that's fine.
Going for a
but
walk.
when you're like with your whole
when you're forced to do like orienteering with a bunch of kids you don't like,
I hate forced participation.
Yeah,
because I'm really not that sort of person.
Because like because Australia's got like this weird subcategory of forest that's not quite a forest. We just call it bush, and I'm fascinated by that because some of it is fucking thick, like to the point where bush is its own thing. No one looks at a bush regardless of how thick and go, oh yeah, look at that forest. It's like, no, that's bush.
That's bush.
And like bush is very dry and very sharp. Everything in it is incredibly pointy.
It's kind of like beach forests.
Yeah,
they suck. It's like you're walking along a beach forest track. Is it sand? Yes. Are there a million pointy things in that sand? Yes.
Yeah, for some reason there's this weird monster shit that lives in beach forest. And rather than being like a plant on top that grows roots down, it's like some kind of plant underneath that grows roots up. And they're just sharp. And like if you step on them, you can puncture your feet and shit. Like it's why you can't just go traipsing around mangroves.
Yeah.
I mean, mangroves, I suppose, are a type of forest as well. But like they're also, it's like that's a forest for something else. That's not a forest for people.
That's not for us.
Yeah, that's for like mosquitoes and slugs. It's where all the gross things come from. And look, I understand the utility to the fucking ecosystem.
And I'm glad they're over there.
Yeah,
not with us over here.
I don't want to hang out with them. The other forest I've been to that was actually really fucking rad. And like, God help you, California, if you let these things fucking die. Is like the forest that they actually fucking filmed the Endor scenes in. And like,
that's cool.
fucking, that's like just like in California. Like, you can just drive to this fucking place and like there's a whatever the fuck, a gift shop. And then you just go for a walk. And it's a fucking trip because like if it's hot in Australia or, if it's hot in Brisbane and you go to like the bush, it's going to be searingly dry hot. It's going to be really unpleasant. No matter what, you're not going to feel shaded
Yep.
at any point.
Yeah.
And it's just brutal. If you're in the fucking rainforest, it'll be a bit cooler, but Lord Almighty, it will be humid because it is just humidity. It's a rainforest. It's the damp and moist.
Yeah.
And then you go to this place, and it's like it was hot outside a bit because it was like, fucking California. But then you go into this thing, and it's like immediately just beautifully cool. And it's like it was the most pleasant natural environment I've ever been in. I'm just walking around this going, man, you gotta fucking you gotta look after this shit. These trees are just that like fucking thick ass wood shit that goes straight the fuck up.
Yeah.
You're like, fucking look at that thing.
Which is nuts because in Australia, nothing grows pretty much straight. It all gets bent and fucking
it's all just warped and twisted.
Wibbity wobbity.
Scary, yeah. Like you go to a fucking you go to the rainforest and it's just like a lot of it's madness.
Yeah.
But I don't know, that was very pleasant. What was the worst time you nutted yourself?
I believe it wasn't so much me myself. I was playing tennis and off a serve, someone hit it fucking hard.
Got it a good one.
Fucking hard. I was in the tennis pose, so I was crouching down and it's just gone straight past the racket. I had to sit out for like 10 minutes because that motherfucker could serve hard and it's just I remember that was probably the one of the worst pains I've ever had for getting hit in the nuts.
Yeah.
I've only jumped, nutted myself a very few times.
Yeah, I never got into skating, so I was just immune from
I don't know about you, but when you were young, did you go through the phase of where you and your friends would just jump things?
Yeah, there was a little bit of that.
I believe it was a few of us did it then, just trying to jump very high poles.
Yeah, and then you sort of
you just kind of slide onto it.
You don't get the fucking cross.
Yeah.
I mean, the worst, when I think okay, what's the worst fucking nut pain I've had?
Sitting on a bicycle, mainly.
Well, I mean, the thing of it is, oh God, yeah, I have had a bad bike one. No, yeah, because I mean, the thing is it's debatable about how much of this was my fault, But it's just one of those ones where my brother's fucking riding around going reasonably fast. My brother's just decided, yeah, I'll just turn in front of Gabe. And it's like, well, either I'm going to fucking hit you at speed and then maybe catapult over, which I don't want to do, or brake fucking hard. So I've hit the brakes and tried to turn a little bit.
Yeah.
And, my fucking lump idiot of a brother's stopped and landed on it. And so I've kind of hit him, but I've hit him also at the bulk of the central weight point of him and his bike. And so that combined with my braking and him leaning in my direction has brought me to a near fucking dead stop. And I've come off the fucking, pedals and just come forward onto the fucking, central bar and done that kind of thing where there's the initial impact but the forward momentum still going. So I've kind of rolled one of my balls under myself. And that fucking sucked. And I was so pissed off because it's just none of this, all of what just happened was your fault.
Yeah.
And was completely unnecessary. You fucking gimp. Why the fuck? Why do you not, what if I was a car, you fucking moron? You need a degree of self-awareness. No, I'm not just angry because my balls hurt. That's a factor in it. Yeah, but fucking dipshit. The other worst time was also his fault. And that was because we were fighting and he fell down and I kind of wide stepped to not fall down with him.
Right.
And he's reached over his head and grabbed a thong. And I've just been standing just horse stance, in this perfect fucking position for him to go whap and just fucking speed bag my nuts.
Oh.
And the hit was perfect. The fat bit of the thong, just full sack, him moving his arm like a whip, I don't think it was he wasn't aiming for it.
No,
it was just hit with this. And
yeah,
it's all right, fine. But it was one of those situations where he knew and I knew immediately that there's this fight's over. This stops. I have to go sit on the edge of the bathtub for a second because I need something gently cool on my fucking nuts right now because this is fucking killing me. Oh, that sucked. It was one of those ones where you just I feel like I'm going to vomit.
Yeah.
I did see a kid vomit once because he got hit in the balls with a fucking Aussie rules football trying to catch it.
Oh.
He kind of went for the dramatic fallback catch.
Oh, and then
no. it was hilarious because he had his arms in the fucking, the little cup,
Yeah.
like kind of thing. I'm going to catch this. And then when he fell back, it just completely adjusted where, like, just
Yeah.
his arms were just like 30 centimeters out of position now. And so just looking at like the arms where the ball would have been a second ago, and then the ball just, yeah.
Football is not like, thankfully, I didn't ever get hit with a cricket ball.
Because it's hilarious until someone vomits and you're like, oh, God.
Oh, yeah, then it's fucking. I do remember someone getting hit with a cricket ball and throwing up. Like, because cricket balls are like bricks.
They're really hard.
They are so fucking hard.
Because you gotta bounce them. They have to hit the ground and then come back up, and then get like fuck shit clobbered by like a wooden murder paddle.
Yeah,
and yeah, they're really just like fucking rocks. I don't think there's a ball out there like in any of the common sports. Like I'm sure they're harder than a baseball. Baseballs are solid.
I think they're harder than a baseball for sure. Like a lot of places in school didn't do baseball; they did softball because like they didn't want a ball that fucking hard being pelted at kids.
Also, it's like kids can play softball.
Yeah,
it's like there's no fucking college or school sports system in Australia, really. Like it's not like in the States where it's like you look at this massive fucking sport game going on with like thousands of people in attendance and shit, and you're like, oh, okay, and then they go, yeah, that's a university game. And it's like,
that's insane.
Yeah, because I mean, like, I know that there are university sports teams in this country, but like, nobody gives a shit.
No.
Like, nobody.
It's not like, the US is huge for that sort of shit.
It's so wild. It's like, I don't think you should be, and like, because they they do that shit to the kids from fucking primary school. It's like, this is why you fucking athletes are nuts, and then will either burn out or like fucking go insane, because it's like you can't take a child and then just put them through a world like this and go, off you go, be normal. You're gonna come out the other end a fucking mutant. I would be angry if someone tried to talk to me about university sports teams.
Yeah,
like, just what are you doing? Stop.
Yeah. Also, like,
I just embarrassed, but I don't want to hear about it.
I never remember kids with talents. Like, I remember there were kids that were good at sport, but no one that was like, holy shit, that guy's going to be, like an AFL star or something.
Because all there was like, oh yeah, there's the regular sized kids and there's the structural support Samoan that like pretends he's good at like football, but really he's just 80 kilos.
Yeah.
And it's just like, well, that's...
No one can stop him.
Yeah. And then that's like, and the thing is like half of them end up sucking because they haven't learned how to play the fucking sport.
Exactly.
Like that was the funniest thing was like the weight category shit that they brought in for fucking like peewee leagues and shit. So like, your kids weren't getting like stomped were like, motivated by some of the fucking like upper tier coaches. Cause they're like, it's not useful if your kid only learns by, playing sports or athletics against people who are like fucking 40 kilos lighter than him.
Yeah.
You're not learning how to fucking play the actual goddamn game or be good at anything.
You're playing avoid Jono. Why? Because Jono will sit on you.
And that's if they can run. Like some of them, like I remember there was a kid in my class called Junior. Actually, now that I go back to it, he's exactly like, Cleveland's son in Family Guy's just fat bald, just that, but like Samoan.
Yeah.
And he had one of the situations where his face was just like so chubby that it just looked like he never had a facial expression.
Yeah, I remember that we had a similar kid, but I don't know if your guy was well liked, but this guy was well liked because he actually had a personality and stuff. Just sort of, but his name was Sean, but his nickname was Baby Gorilla. I loved Sean; he was a good dude.
All right, well now that the fun's out of the way, we gotta deal with the stories from the
bleak and fucking edgy lives of our listeners.
Into the void. Hello, Twisties. I don't have interesting stories about gardening. Well, we're off to a fantastic start. That's
fucking fantastic.
I'm good at that for my mother to leave me in charge.
What?
Or about sleep talking or sleepwalking. Okay. As for being dumped, only once, and I was entirely in the wrong there due to not handling my depression well and having a mental breakdown, which you probably guessed just based on me being one of your viewers. All right, well, you got us there. That's a point for you there, champ. We ended up getting back together after I got my shit together. That's not really an interesting story, but I know you'll find amusement in your listeners getting dumped for their own failures.
I mean...
Starting with I don't have interesting stories is don't get me wrong, that was funny.
But it does set a tone for the whole conversation.
Gather round, children, for I don't have any interesting stories. Have you ever... Okay, so on to the next one. Have you ever had an experience with a sleep talker or sleepwalker? Yes! I used to work a high-stress job for a software service company. On the particularly rough days, my girlfriend at the time would tell me about my nighttime mumbling about servers and network equipment. That's funny. I have since left that job and now work for a prominent game company. I'm single again, so if I'm rambling about things at night, I have no one to tell me about it at the moment.
Just record yourself and then send them to us.
Have you ever fucked up doing lawn work or have any interesting lawn work stories? When I was 16, a couple of friends of mine and I decided to do lawn work for money, with the goal of buying Xbox 360s and copies of Halo 3. That is such a 16-year-old life plan. Like, thinking there's, like, several Xbox 360s worth of money in, like...
Lawn work.
Lawn work you can convince fucking your neighbors and shit to let you do.
I'll give you $5.
Yeah. Like, I'm not... You know, you're competing with Jim's mowing, you know, and that guy has competitive prices. I quickly realized that I picked the two wrong friends for completing this quest. Alright. Landscaping is a common career for Hispanic families in Central California, and each of my friends had different ideas for how to do the job properly based on family work experience. My very short friend, Tyler, got fed up and threw a gloved punch at our third friend, Morgan. Morgan went down, face up, unconscious on a mound of dirt.
Jesus.
I love the idea of paying like 3 kids to do your lawn, and you look outside and they're having this Three Stooges style, like, yeah. Yeah. I wonder how the lawn's going. And one of them's just unconscious in a mound, and he's like, huh. If you have never seen a body go limp after a punch, it's a sight that never leaves you. Tyler walked away. Morgan, when he came to, went home, and I made money and got my Xbox 360 before anyone else.
Hey, well, at least you got it.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. If anything, this is like a fucking, you know, lesson that you should bring like a Tyler and a Morgan when you go to do lawn work.
Well, like, you know, bring Tyler to Fight Club.
Have you ever been dumped? No. I have been in 3 really good relationships with really great and supportive people. Well, fuck you too.
But you've been in 3 relationships.
Yeah.
So how did the relationships end? I guess they did the dumping then?
Yeah. I mean, the problem that comes with supportive relationships is that you will support one another, even if it means cutting ties. Well, it's a bummer that things didn't work out for the long term. I couldn't be happier for where they are now and continue to wish the best for them. Favorite milkshake? The best milkshake I have ever had was during a trip to Texas for PAX South. My girlfriend at the time had some family in the area, and they invited us to dinner atop the Sky Needle in San Antonio. The food was decent, the view was great, and the milkshake was phenomenal. It was smooth, and a very rich chocolate with just a hint of espresso, topped with a small scoop of some of the richest vanilla ice cream I have ever had. Topping the treat was some incredibly light whipped cream adorned with some sweet cocoa powder. The milkshake came out to almost $36 US.
Jesus.
Well worth it.
Wow.
That's the fucking $10 shake fucking thing from Pulp Fiction is in my head now. It's like, is there a shot in this? Like, $36 is a lot for a shake.
I'm assuming it's more because of the location. It's at the restaurant, so they just charge you through the nose.
We're literally needling the sky. I had meant to grab a picture of it from the restaurant's website, but I don't think they update the site very often, as I no longer see it on the menu. That's a shame, because I want to see a picture of this.
Maybe people stopped ordering the $36 milkshake.
That's also a possibility. Hey, this isn't like... I mean, yeah, maybe it is really legitimately worth $36, but like...
That's the price of a meal, man.
If you're looking in the fucking... like a good milkshake here would be like... I mean, if you were going nuts, you'd spend $10.
Yeah.
You know, $5, you get a
if you go to Five Guys in fucking Sydney, you can pay $14 for a milkshake. There you go.
Hey, Amber and Gabe. Nothing clever to say. Fucking fantastic. So I'll just jump right into my anecdotes. All right, so at least we got a story here. Regarding sleepwalking misadventures, I'm not sure if this counts, but Gabe's push-up story reminded me of an incident I had in 2015 while I was stationed in Korea. Did you kill fitty men? They get your shins? I was not expecting that.
No.
I remember a distinct episode of sleep. Like, does this mean you're Korean and like had to
also
do that national
stationed in
service
which part of Korea?
Oh, hello, regular listener Kim Jong-un. Fantastic. Give me a missile. I remember a distinct episode of sleep paralysis during which I convinced myself I could will myself out of it if I got up and crossed my barracks room to look at myself in the mirror. I have vague memories of doing so and remember looking at myself in the mirror, but nothing much after that. A few hours later, I woke up in a heap on the floor. Silver lining, I have not had any sleep paralysis episodes since.
You were a sleeper agent. You were activated.
Yeah. The mirror you took over your body.
Yeah.
The real you is howling in the mirror dimension. Nothing has any flavor in the mirror dimension. All food just tastes like the same. It's just powder. In terms of yard work, when I was 16, my parents ordered me, as punishment for something, I don't remember what, probably something insignificant, to build a retaining wall out of bricks. Fucking hell.
Why would you?
Driveway. For the steep gravel driveway house, this is like getting you to paint the fucking
I know.
whole house.
That's what I was just thinking. It's like,
we have a complex task.
let's get the child to do it.
Let's get the disobedient shit to the person we're punishing to fucking, like you can get prisoners to crack rocks on a fucking roadside because that's literally smashing rocks.
Yeah.
Like the dumbest thing on earth can, like, literally.
If you asked me to build a
this.
retaining wall, now I would not know how to do it.
I mean, I think
I've got a general idea.
Yeah, but like I do know, like if you say wall, it's like, all right. When you say retaining wall, it's like, okay, I have that. There's other shit involved. Like you need like engineering.
Yeah.
Because that wall now has a job to do beyond just stay up, I can get something to stay up probably, but like, stay up and fight a bunch of the ground. I don't know about that.
20 kilos of dirt.
Yeah, constantly forever. Also, it needs drainage.
Yeah.
Fuck,
I don't know.
And I only just remembered the drainage. Like,
I wouldn't have even factored that in.
Yeah. Oh, man. Fucking trust me. You need the fucking drainage.
Oh, yeah.
It's the water that gets you. Fuck, I love this. Let's get our child who's not competent and they'll build a necessary feature that our yard needs that requires like mortar. Fucking Jesus. Where are we?
Retaining wall.
Yeah, I know. I just accidentally fucking scrolled. Okay. I grudgingly got to work, and after a few hours of laying bricks, my stepmother came out with a shop level. Okay, that's extra good. And checked the wall. It was not level. No, it wasn't. You're 16. So I was told to tear it down and begin anew.
Excellent.
This is fantastic. This went on for nearly 2 weeks, and my father even went to the store and bought industrial construction floodlights so I could keep working after dark. After nearly a fortnight of building and rebuilding this wall, after school and on weekends, my stepmother eventually gave up on me. After checking it and still not being pleased, I swear to shit it was damn near perfect, but what can you do? She dismissed me. Issued a new punishment for me, probably digging holes or something. As far as I know, that wall is still standing. That's like the idea of like you're there building a wall and then out comes like stepmom with a fucking level and it's like, oh, fuck. But also, yeah.
The fact that he did it for 2 weeks.
That's so fucking funny.
Like, and that your father bought floodlights. Because imagine it's like, oh, yes, it's getting dark. Well, too bad. And then dad strides in.
Yeah, no, you just hear boosh, and like the fucking lights click on. It's like, oh. And don't worry, got you covered, son. Of course, I've been dumped, but never for anything fun or interesting. Once I was told I didn't cause enough drama. That's amazing. I have no additional thoughts on milkshakes. Dairy makes me shit blood and fire.
Yeah, that's probably not a good thing to have then.
Sorry for the long email, guys.
You should have just drank milkshakes to get out of building the wall.
Yeah. Yeah.
There you go.
Don't make me build mummy. I'll drink my milk. Sorry for the long email, guys. Anyway, I'm a long-time money chip and just wanted to give my appreciation for the content you put out. It's Chimp, you motherfucker.
Did you say chip?
Yeah. The funniest closing statement I can think of was, you twist me right around, but now I'm just thinking of dicks. Yeah. So you know the great theme to the Disney classic TV show Tailspin?
Yep.
I keep getting that in my head, but like meat spin.
Meat spin, yeah.
That looks like it's rough on skin. It's another meat spin. So I'll just be walking around going, oh, yeah, meat spin. Like just to myself, you know.
That's funny.
People could hear that.
Yeah. They're concerned, but
provided
they don't
I
say
just
anything.
don't do it while I'm at the Coles, you know.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I just walk around bread, meat spin. I mean, the thing is, like, I really don't think many people would get it, but every now and then there'd be one.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Just, I'm not sure I want to get into that conversation with a person who'd recognize me singing the meat spin song that I made up and then want to talk to a stranger about that. Greetings, Amber and Gabe. Good forward. Amber is one of my favorite names of all time. Nicely chosen.
Thank you.
I like it because it's a normal person name.
Yeah.
Sleepwalking / talking. I have talked a few times growing up. One time when I was about 8 years old, I woke up trying to figure out how to open the back door of my parents' place. Okie dokie. Glad I woke up then rather than just walk off into the dark. The other memorable time was a few years later when I woke myself up by getting in the shower and turning the cold water on. It was not a fun awakening. Yeah, that would be fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Like that is, I have no like possibility of really experiencing what that is, short of someone like putting me in a shower, like Kuro chanting me or some shit.
Yeah.
But like that would take a lot of effort. Whereas like if I just wake up in a shower, go like, what the fuck, alone, like I
That
just
would
got in
be
there myself.
fucked. Yeah.
One of my exes was mad at me one morning because I'd apparently spent the night cackling like an old witch. That's all right. And others have told me I laugh or mutter in my sleep from time to time. Bonus friends sleep talking. I went to a hippie primary school, and one of my friends was named, I shit you not, Blade Merlin Newman.
Fuck off.
There's just all right. There are too many elements in that.
Yeah.
I mean, Merlin Newman is not a great name.
No.
just phonetically, like just this. It's got terrible. Blade Newman, almost. I mean, Blade. I mean, I'm not letting Blade slide as a human being, but like Blade Merlin Newman. Merlin Newman just sounds like a fucking, it's divorced from fucking meaning in my head now. It's just two weird sounds. Like if there were an alien animal crawling along just going Merlin Newman, like I'd just be like, oh, okay, yeah, that's the noise that thing makes. Merlin Newman. Anyway, a few of us slept over at his place one night. We woke up to him staggering around in the room with his hands brushing the ground saying, where is he? Where are they? I need to find them. We tried to talk to him with no luck. Eventually, he tripped over a pillow, hit his head on a metal bed frame and said, I'll do it later, and then went back to bed.
Fucking hell.
He was mocked later. A lot. You have to, like, you've got to swing big if you're going to be mocked for not just being called Blade Merlin Newman. As a teen, our friend group of mixed guys and girls all went camping as part of a school trip. We all slept in a single giant tent our school had. That's weird. That's a weird thing for a school to have. Come, children, enter the tent. The tent.
Yeah, I feel uncomfortable
We
with
go
that.
camping, bring the tent. Are you sure you didn't go to a circus? Because Blade Merlin Newman, one giant tent you all slept in.
Yeah. I'm getting
I don't think this
cold
was a
circus
hippie. Yeah, no,
vibes.
this wasn't a hippie school. This was just a circus. You were raised in a circus. On one of the nights, one of the guys, Jim, who had a thing for one of the girls, Ness. All right, no, now this is just Earthbound. You live in a circus and also like a beloved SNES game. Ended up talking about how much he liked her and wanted to take her out on a date. Two of us were wide awake and heard it, including Ness. He did not have a fun time at school after that. Was Ness short for something? First
I
name
have to
Locke?
look this up.
Fucked up yard work. Only thing I've messed up with yard work-wise was when I was helping a friend cut out a big section of thorn vines from his yard when I was about 10. I used some hedge trimmers and thick gardening gloves his parents gave us. Who's giving 10-year-olds this shit? But it was about 40 degrees in summer, so we were in shorts and t-shirts. I cut one vine, but it fell onto my exposed arm.
Was it a girl called Ness?
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently Ness is a masculine given name, which means from the headland.
All right.
It's Scottish.
Yeah, I figured it had
Nesta.
to be. Okay, Nesta.
Yeah, Nestor.
Yeah, no, I know. I think it's a Greek or Roman mythology.
Greek.
What did Nesta do? It's going to drive me nuts now.
Given name. It comes from that of
something?
Nestor, the son of Neleus, king of Pylos and Chloris.
Is this a historical figure or not a mythical one?
It looks like it, yeah.
Who knows? I cut one vine, but it fell onto my exposed arm, wrapping around my arm like a tentacle and hooking into my skin. Took about 20 minutes to de-thorn myself from that damn thing.
Ew.
Always wear long sleeves when cutting pointy vines down. Has your bitch ass ever been broken up with? Yes. Nothing particularly noteworthy or entertaining. Mainly it ended with a conversation where we both realize it's for the best and move on. Not super dramatic. Also, dating apps are fucking awful. Unless you just want a dodgy and possibly dangerous hookup, they're not worth using. Favorite milkshake? Vanilla. I don't know why it's a synonym for bland or basic. Vanilla is fucking amazing.
Milli Vanilli.
1 million vanillis.
I love that Milli Vanilli were in the Adventures of Mario Brothers 3.
Oh, that's right. God damn it.
Yeah,
Don't
because
remind me of that.
the fucking Cootie Pie, or Wendy as she's called in the actual canon, wants her father, King Koopa, to kidnap Milli Vanilli to perform a concert for her.
So weird.
It's such a fucking weird show, dude.
Hello, those who twist my nips. Long-time viewer, first-time writer. Call me whatever you like. Okay, shit biscuit. From last week, I actually had something for my birthday question. Amusingly, both were after two massively negative life events.
Ooh.
I was never doing anything big or special during my birthday growing up. We would usually maybe go out to eat where I wanted, have a small get-together with family, or my mum would set up something for me in the evening to do with my few close friends. However, my best memory would have to be my 10th birthday, which was only about 4 months after Hurricane Katrina here in Louisiana.
Ooh.
So we were things were still pretty much a shit fight. Okay, I'm assuming your mum gave you more berserker armor that allowed you to go outside and rustle yourself up some possum for dinner. But despite it, my mum opted to buy me an original Nintendo DS, and my first game was Mario and Luigi, Partners in Time. Then a couple of days later, my father, who did spoil me pretty hard most of my life, opted to also buy me a PlayStation 2 with Kingdom Hearts. Most likely to one-up my mother out of spite, since this wasn't that long after their divorce as well. And who cares? You got a DS and a PS2, it's pretty sweet.
Yeah, fuck it.
My worst birthday is mainly just the worst by default, as it was only a few weeks after my dad had passed away suddenly in December 2020. I was still quite bitter and angry about it, so I honestly just didn't want to go out and hear anything birthday related. That was a rough time, but doing much better these past couple of years. What is the worst thing you ever smelled, and have you fucked up yard work? I like that these are paired. That's it's giving me tickle feelings. Well, this is a bit of a stretch to call it yard work. Ooh, enjoying this more. But it is something I fucked up what I was told to do in the yard, so I'll count it. So after the storm, we were staying in a camper that had tanks, excellent, that needed emptying for both sink and shower, and then one for the shitter. However, for some reason, they opted to one valve dark gray and one black. And one night, early on living there, my mum tells me to empty the not poo sludge and that it's the grey one. So I go outside and cannot tell the difference between the two because I'm 10 and I didn't think to go back inside for a flashlight. And I just stopped to pull the one, telling myself I think it was the right one. It was not. Shortly after, the rankest, most foul-smelling collection of probably 2-week-old fermenting shit and piss comes out of the hose.
Whoa.
Excellent.
Oh.
Naturally, this managed to bring on a solid vomiting episode as well, and even after shutting it off and hosing out the yard, the smell lingered on for a good long while. Or it certainly felt like it at least. He's hoping that it was worth a chuckle out of y'all. I always appreciate you for the laughs and look forward to the next episode. Finally, a silver lining for Hurricane Katrina. All right, we'll leave it there because we've got this is the thing, like when we do it weekly, they fucking catch up on us now. Because there's still like 5 fucking more. We'll do those next week.
That's the problem is like the last one we recorded was 2 weeks ago and we had none.
Yeah.
And now it's like.
There were 10.
Yeah.
I know. Well, look, it's both, there's weaknesses on both sides, but I think we can agree it's mostly the listener's fault.
Oh, 100%.
You know it's true. Look in your hearts.
Yes.
Okay, so remember that is I have felt like this at yahoo.com. It's all lowercase. And you can, tell us if you've ever felt like things.
Preferably the questions.
Yeah.
Don't just tell us you're like, I feel like poo. It's like, cool, thanks. That's great.
I feel like a mango.
I could go for a
I
nice
could
mango
go for a
right
mango,
now.
Yeah. So, the questions for this week are, have you ever felt like this? Have you ever taken mushrooms? Have you ever been in a forest? Worst time you nutted yourself? It isn't a question. I suppose it is. It can be posed as a question. And that is, I have felt like this, all lowercase, no fancy bits and bobs, at yahoo.com. I am Gabriel Felt Like This.
You can find us on Twitter at...
I'm at Gabriel on Guard. Not felt like this because that wouldn't fit.
And
we
I'm
weren't doing this 11 years ago.
At Ambercules. No, it's a lot of people say ambercules, and it's like...
I completely understand, because like... The Gumbercules joke is also like buried in my brain. So I read it, I was like, oh yeah, Ambercules. Yeah. But like, for ambercules to rhyme with molecules is just very, very fucking funny.
I get that, yeah. But it's like... It's also like... And sometimes I say, like Hercules, just like, because I don't know if they've seen Futurama. Yeah. And they still get it wrong. And it's like, how do you get Hercules and then lose the Lees part? Like... Hercules? No, Hercules. Shut up.
Hercule Poirot. I suppose it did become Hercule, because originally it was Heracles and it was Greek, but Hercules is the Latin.
Right.
And now it's Hercule and ambercules.
Enjoy. I hope you have a good week. and we will see you soon.
Toodaloo.
Bye.